But we want to talk right now on the health segment about something that's very important and all too common within our society. Now, before we do that, let me just give you a quick reminder about My GHPay. Now, My GHPay is that Ghana's biggest online payments platform, and My GHPay say that they're back with a bang. And they have provided new facilities, they've revamped the whole app and so on and so forth. Now they have new push notifications that have come in-app reporting that has come in. There's new interfaces like data bundle purchasing and box office subscriptions. They also have GHQR payment options and security features like Face ID and fingerprint login options as well. My GHPay is simply pings. Now, simply go to Apple Store or Play Store and go download My GHPay and you're good to go. Otherwise, you can also go to the website, myghpay.com, and register, providing a few details, and voila, there you go. All right, so the toll-free number to call if you have any questions is 0800 124 000, 0800 124 000. My GHPay, buy, sell, connect. Now, Dr. Kelvin Owusu has joined us. In the conversation for this morning, of course, the WhatsApp line is 0550-585832. If you have any questions for him, please send those questions through. We want to hear from you. But the conversation this morning is surrounding one topic: constipation. What's it all about? You think you know, but you'll be surprised at what you're going to find out this morning. Dr. Owusu, good morning.
Good morning,
How are you?
I'm very well. You're looking fabulous.
Thank you. I've been watching your style, so I'm trying to emulate. Yeah. So, constipation.
Yes.
Now, I think the average person would imagine constipation, as I did for many years, that, okay, you ate too much bread, ate too much gari, so it's... What's constipation?
Well, constipation is it can be defined on different technical terms. So it could be about the consistency. So your stool is hard.
Okay.
And it could also be defined by the frequency. So you're not going to the toilet as often as you should be going. Now, it's both of the definition are quite difficult to define because the spectrum of normal is very, very wide. I mean, there are people who use the bathroom once a day.
Yeah.
Some people use the bathroom once or twice a week, and they are fine. So it makes it difficult to define it technically.
Once or twice a week?
Yes.
What are you saying? How can you be fine?
Well, I'm sure some people were responding in the text messages, and they tell that they actually go to the bathroom once or twice a week, and they are fine. Especially women. Especially women. A lot of women do that. Okay. But by definition,
that's weird.
Yes, by definition, if you are using the loo number 2, if you are going to the toilet less than 3 times a week, technically, you are said to have constipation. Okay. But like I said, we don't stick strictly to this definition because the spectrum of normal is so wide. It's so wide, and so we don't stick to that definition too much. But basically, if your frequency, so if you go to the toilet once a day or 3 times a day or once a week or twice a week, if that frequency it changes, then you have constipation, especially if it's associated with hardening of your stool. Then you are said to have constipation and maybe may need attention. Okay,
so what typically causes constipation?
So let's start with the softer ones, the easier ones to handle. So your diet. Diet is actually the primary cause of constipation. If you are not eating enough roughage, if you are not eating enough fiber, then you tend to have constipation because the fiber and the roughage will tend to hold water. Yes, and
that's what it is.
Yes, and it will naturally keep your stool softer, so it can flow freer through the intestines. Okay. So diet is very, very, very important. You are what you eat. So if you are not eating the right food, if you are eating too much processed food, if there's not enough roughage or unprocessed food in your diet, because sometimes when you say roughage and fiber, it gets confusing. Basically, if you're eating too much processed food, so if you're eating white rice.
Okay, so let's do that. Give us a typical not to be encouraged meal, that people would do. Let's look at a normal day, right? And we look at somebody's breakfast, somebody's lunch, somebody's supper, and you can tell that this person
is going to suffer.
You are going to suffer very soon. It's just a matter of a few days.
So you woke up in the morning, you had white rice water, with white bread, milk and all of those. And there's not much unprocessed food in that combination, because white bread has been white rice has been polished, so there's not any fiber in there. White bread has no fiber in there, not enough fiber at all. So you had that for breakfast. You went for lunch, you again had fried rice. Nobody does fried rice with unpolished rice. So then again, more polished rice in the system. Then the evening you had jollof rice, also made from white rice. So the whole day you've actually had very little.
So let's say that the fried rice, it comes with coleslaw, but you don't like coleslaw, so you throw the coleslaw
away. Exactly, you threw the coleslaw away. And then secondly, the vegetable in the fried rice, because a lot of heat has been applied, sometimes it has denatured the fiber, so it's not even as good as it's supposed to be, because you need them fresh. You've hardly had any fruits all day, so nothing from that side at all. You are likely, if this diet continues for 2-3 days, you are going to have difficulty with your bowel movements. If you were having once a day, twice a day, or once every 2 days, it could actually reduce because of the diet you are following. So that's why it's important to have fruits, because fruits have a lot of fiber. Fruits have a lot of fiber in there, a lot of roughage is found in the peels and in the hard parts. So gari is actually gari is actually good when it comes to constipation. Interestingly. Because there's a lot of fiber in gari. So let's stop disrespecting gari. But that's the diet. Another thing that we may not pay too much attention to, but change of environment. So for instance, a big man in society or a big man in society invites you for a weekend stay, visit their accommodation, and spend time with them. Because you are shy, you actually struggle to poop. Oh yes. I see. You actually struggle to poop, and that can affect you. So there's the urge to poop, because there's constipation where you are not having the urge. So for instance, you are preparing for an exam, you can actually forget to poop. So the urge is not there. It doesn't mean that you will not suffer the consequences. The constipation will still happen.
Wait, but so what's going on there? Why should my body forget that this has to happen?
Because at that particular time, there's something more important. There's an exam. You see, stress, I'm just in the exam, but stress in general. So anything that causes you stress can make your body, alter your body's functioning. So if we look at women, sometimes when they go through stress, even their menstruation or their menstrual cycle is disrupted. In the same way, your pooping cycle can also be disrupted by stress. So an exam, you've had an accident, you've had this, something is going on that is not, you don't expect it, or you're not used to it. It can disrupt your cycle. You visit a friend, you resist the urge to poop. By the time you go home, the urge has disappeared. So then you decide, okay, I'll hold on. But then the next time the urge comes, you go and sit on it, and now the poop is not coming, or it's harder. It's because as the stool stays in the large intestine, especially the colon and the rectum, more water is being absorbed. And this is a survival tactic. So you can actually see the intestines on the screen. Now in the large intestines, that's where stool actually forms. And as it goes closer to the anus, the stool gets harder. Like I said, it's a survival instinct, because it's assumed that you don't have enough water, so the body is pulling water. And this is why you need the fiber and the roughage, because the roughage will then hold the water and prevent the body from absorbing all the water. So the longer the stool stays in the colon and the rectum, the harder it becomes. So the more you delay or you postpone using the bathroom, the harder your stool is going to get. So if you keep putting yourself in situations where you cannot poop, or you have to postpone the urge to poop, your stool gets harder.
I see. Interesting.
So even though it's something that we should do naturally, a lot of time we put ourselves at risk of constipation by our decisions, because let's say you're on a long distance, you're in a bus, you've taken an STC or a VIP, and you're going to Tamale. Yes, exactly. Because you are used to WC in the house, now there's no WC on the road, so you postpone your stooling for the whole journey, 8 hours, 12 hours, and you're there. By the time you get to your destination, you cannot poop, because now it's a new environment. So your body now needs time to adjust to this new environment. So you can go 2 or 3 days and still not be able to relieve yourself. And that can be predisposed. That can cause you to have constipation. Of course, there are also people who are genetically predisposed to constipation. So particularly in babies, when a baby is born, after we've checked everything as medics to make sure everything is fine, 2 things that we must see before that baby is discharged. Number 1, that baby must pee, especially if it's a boy.
Okay.
If that baby does not pee, he's not going home.
Wow.
Yes. Then number 2, which is for both boys and girls, that baby must pass stool. If you do not pass stool, you're not going home. Or at least before you go home, there must be an investigation to confirm that there's whatever is going on.
Is, yes.
So genetically, some people have problems that predispose them to constipation. You know, there are some genetic conditions where there's the nerves that supply the colon are missing. And so these babies will not be able to poo naturally or normally. And so they need an intervention. And so the earlier we diagnose it, the better, because then the management is easier, in quotes. Of course, once an intervention has to be made, it's not as easy as it can be. But at least it's easier if it's detected earlier.
Yeah.
So that's the genetic predisposition.
Wow.
Then there are drugs. Some drugs also causes us to get constipated.
Really? Like
Yes.
which ones?
Well, you see, but that's the thing. You know, I hardly mention drugs on
Yes.
there, because oftentimes when you do that, people will avoid certain things, but then it might be necessary for their other well-being.
Okay.
But in
Wait,
general,
then give us broad categories.
yes, in general,
Yeah.
pain medication, some very strong pain medication also affect your intestines. So some stronger pain medications will cause constipation.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you are being put on such medication, there's counseling as to what to expect and what to do in case these things happen.
Okay.
You know, and so some medication actually cause them. Some antihistamines, medication that we use for allergies,
Yes.
can also cause constipation as well.
I see. Wow.
Yes.
Very interesting.
So yes, even though we don't respect constipation, it's a big deal.
I mean, I've never thought it was this detailed. I mean, I knew there must be more, to it, and so looking forward to hearing about it. But I'm just realizing that there's much more to the. It's like a condition that you toy with.
Yes.
As if it's nothing.
Let me blow your mind.
Okay, tell me.
Cancer can also cause constipation. Sometimes one of the
wow.
the earliest symptoms that you can actually pick that will make you consider cancer as a possibility is actually constipation. Wow. So somebody who comes in who has had regular bowel movements, maybe twice a day or twice a week, whichever your routine is, suddenly is not able to poo as often as he or she is used to. You've checked everything seems fine.
Everything seems normal.
Look for cancer in the colon.
Wow. So okay, so diseases definitely can cause constipation.
Yes.
And so constipation may be a good symptom to backtrack and, investigate what
So bottom line is we should not ignore constipation. I mean, if you're having constipation quite often, you should not ignore it. Seek medical attention. Because again, there are consequences. Even if there's no cancer or anything else, the fact that you keep getting constipation can predispose you to other things.
Okay.
Number 1, hemorrhoids.
Yes.
So
okay.
if you keep having to force your poo to come out, you are going to develop hemorrhoids. It's not avoidable. If it doesn't happen today, it'll happen tomorrow.
Okay.
You keep pushing it out all the time by force, you are going to get hemorrhoids.
Yeah.
Now the interesting thing about hemorrhoids in itself is that diarrhea can also cause hemorrhoids. So both sides of the spectrum, it's not something that you should be having too often.
Okay.
Then the second thing is anal fissures. Now, a fissure is a crack.
Okay.
Now, because the anus is a dirty place, in quotes, because the poo coming out contains a lot of bacteria and a lot of other things. Yeah. So when you have a tear in your anus, it's very difficult to heal. And it's really, 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 it's excruciatingly painful. Okay. I've seen a lot of patients who have gone through that thing, and it's not a good thing at all. And now the problem with anal fissuring is that the fissure then also predisposed to constipation.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
Because of the pain. Okay. Now pooping is a problem, so then you hold your poo. And now because you're holding your poo, it's getting harder and harder and drier. Oh. And so it's really a very difficult situation to be in. So it's much better to avoid it than to treat it. But once you have it, there's treatment available, even though it's uncomfortable.
All right. So in just a few seconds, treatment. What route are you recommending?
Well, number 1, diet.
Okay.
It's because once you put enough roughage and fiber in your diet, it tends to solve a lot of the constipation issues. Okay. And then our behavior, I try as much as possible to make to poo regularly. Okay. Even if you don't feel, you see, the mind it's a psychological thing as well. if you sit on the toilet every morning at 5 a.m., it gets to a point your body will get used to it, so that you poo every morning at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
You know, so human behavior is also an important part of dealing with constipation. But basically, if you are having constipation, don't ignore it. Seek medical attention, because it could be a signal to something else that is going on.
Now I understand why there was an instruction at home when we were children. Go to the loo. I said, I don't feel like going to go to the loo. You know,
very, very
now
important.
Now it makes sense.
Very, very important.
Okay, Dr. Kelvin, where can we find you? Where can people find you?
Well, you can find me on social media at Kelvin Owusu MD.
Kelvin Owusu MD.
Yes.
Fantastic, fantastic. All right, there's a question here. Says Miriam in La Paz is asking, I heard loss of bread is a factor. How true is that? Well,
it depends on which bread, actually.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you're eating white bread, like I said, there's no roughage, there's no fiber
and
in
that's
there.
why it's a problem.
And that's why it's a problem. But if you're eating less processed bread, like wheat bread or any of the less processed bread, I mean, you're okay. But of course, too much of everything is bad.
Yep, I guess so. Too much of everything is